In this video, we are going to look at data types in Python. In Python, as in most programming languages, data comes in different types. So you have the following very ordinary ones. So this is an integer, a whole number. So I'm going to write after like that. And that's a term that gets used in maths. You'll need to know that for your maths GCSE as well. Now, 2.5 is a floating point number. You can remember this by thinking about how the point seems to float around when you're doing things like scientific notation. But essentially it means a number with decimal places. Just a point on that though, this is also a floating point number, even though it's got nothing after it. It's not to do with whether it's got something after the decimal point, it's to do with how the machine represents that number inside. We've also got text. This is some text, and that is known as a string. Lastly, just forgot, I should also say this. If you have 334 there, that is also a string. You can tell it's a string because it's got quotes around it, and also in where you've got syntax highlighting like here, can you see it's turned it green, whereas these are this sort of orangey colour. Lastly, you have true and false, and these are our booleans, so I'll comment that as well. So these are the basic data types we are going to be working with at the moment, and you can tell the type of something because you can use the function type like this on the REPL. If I do type of 45, it tells me class int for, yes, you guessed it, integer. If I do that again but put a 0.0 after it, it will tell me it's a float, and if I put some quotes around it, it's a string, and if I make it false, it will tell me it's a boolean. So these are the basic types of data. Now, these here are all called literals. So this is an integer literal, this is a float literal, this is a string literal, and this is a boolean literal. A literal means it is exactly what it says it is. It's literally what it says it is. So 345 is literally an integer. Of course, we can assign these things to variables. So if I say a is set to 345, a is associated with an integer 345. So let's do that down here. A is set to 345, and then let's get the type of a, and it should tell us it's an integer. Now, sometimes when we actually do something with that variable, it can sort of alter the type of the result. It won't alter the variable itself. So if I say a times 2.0, you'll see I get that as my result. So if I get the type of a times 2.0, guess what it'll be? Yes, that is a float. If I make a number b and set it to 7,000, if I type in a is greater than b, so remember a is a is 340 something and b is 7,000, then that is false. So the type of a is greater than b is a boolean. So understanding that our variables store data as a particular type, and when we create an expression that can actually alter the type of the result, helps us to work with this kind of thing in Python. So what I can do then is think about how I want to store my data and how I'm going to manipulate it. There are some other types in Python as well, but these are the basic ones. Have a go with this yourself. Play around by typing this stuff on the REPL, and don't forget that you can do this in your programs as well. So if you're programming, you're not quite sure what the type of something is going to be, then you can put that on the REPL and that will work just fine. Last thing, if I do Fred plus 47, you can see Fred is string, it's a green, and 47 is an integer. And I get an error message. Now, type error can only concatenate, that means put together, that's what the plus is doing, string to string, not an integer. So this error message is telling me exactly what's wrong on this line. It's saying that it can't add Fred to this integer. It doesn't work. Interestingly enough, sometimes you can have unexpected results, like this one, for example, where the Python will do something quite interesting when you mix up the types. But when you get an error like this, you need to please read it carefully, look at the types involved. If you need to, you could say type of Fred, like so, and then type of 47. And you can see it's the types, it exactly tells you in the error message. I hope that's helpful. Do ask me any questions if you're unsure.